A student flies a futuristic fighter jet to school. It scares the entire faculty and student body. Zeke carries mushroom bombs all over the sky. Single-handedly takes down an entire British carrier strike group. That's taking it way too far. The British general sends in Delta Force overnight. They infiltrate Dragon Country to investigate the fighter jet. But they discover that the jet was built by a machine shop in the Dragon Country countryside. That day, I'm tinkering with machines in the shop. Suddenly, my high school buddy Jin-gui calls, "Bro, I heard you dropped out to start a machine shop back home. Can you build me a sweet ride for a competition?" Seeing a job come in, I perk right up. I nod and say, "Sure thing. What style do you want?" "No special requirements. Just needs to fly. But the key thing is it's got to look cool. Let me really steal the show." With that, Jin-gui sends me a few reference pictures. I open them up, and I instantly lose it. Holy cow. They're all top-tier fighter jet concept designs from around the world. Some are even screenshots from sci-fi movies. I take a deep breath and say, "Alright, what size? What's the budget?" "The bigger, the better. No budget cap. You know, money's no object for me. I'll send you my credit card number in a bit. Spend whatever you want. Just get it to me by next Monday." My mouth twitches. This guy is as over the top as ever. I immediately pound my chest and promise, "Alright, that's all I need to hear. I'm going to make you something huge. Blow everyone's minds." I hang up the phone. I send a design command to the Tianyu system. A few minutes later, I hear a ding. The Ghost Fighter design is complete. Structural data imported. Super processing platform. Full band phased array radar data imported. Omnidirectional thrust vectoring engine data imported. After all the data is imported, I pull out my phone and start contacting various suppliers, preparing all the materials needed for fabrication. Early the next morning, I ride my electric scooter to the machine shop. Several delivery trucks are already parked out front. I quickly open the shop doors and call everyone over to start unloading. Once all the materials are ready, I walk up to the Tianyu super processing platform and issue the manufacturing command. The next second, the super platform starts up. Agile, flexible robotic arms begin manipulating the different components. Cutting, stamping, every step is steady and precise. Finally, near evening, the first major component, the full thrust VECTO RING ... engine, is finally complete. Looking at the 4-meter-long engine before me, my eyes are full of anticipation. Usually in the village, I only get to make small stuff. Finally, I get to play with something exciting. Over the next few days, the machine shop roars non-stop. Phased array radar, plasma laser cannon, synthetic aperture camera. One precision component after another is machined out. Finally, on the afternoon of the 6th day, a massive object appears in the workshop. Length, 18 meters. Wingspan, 11 meters. Weight, 42 tons. The fuselage gleams with a silver-gray metallic luster. Its blended aerodynamic shape has smooth, flowing lines. Totally cool and mind-blowingly awesome. It's no less impressive than the stuff in Jin-gui's pictures. Imagining the dumbfounded look on Jin-gui's face when he sees it, I feel a secret thrill. Then I rent a heavy-duty semi-trailer and deliver the Ghost Fighter to Dragon Country Tech University overnight. I check the time, it's already 1 a.m. I send Jin-gui a message and drive back that same night. The next morning, inside a dorm at Dragon Country Tech University, Jin-gui wakes up and sees 2 unread messages. It's on the sports field. Startup password, 88s. Jin-gui frowns. No way. A model plane needs a startup password. Gui-je is really thorough. The other one was from the bank. Mr. Jin, the credit limit on your card ending in 7,788 has been used up. Please repay the balance as soon as possible. Jin-gui was stunned for a moment. Then he jumped up. Holy crap. Brother Hui, what did you do? That was a 10 million yuan limit. Jin-gui immediately dialed his number, but the phone rang several times with no answer. Jin-gui gritted his teeth in frustration. He threw on his clothes and rushed to the sports field. He wanted to see what a 10 million yuan model plane looked like. By then, a crowd had already gathered on the field. Students were in small groups, split into different teams, all tuning their model planes. Jin-gui hurried through the crowd, but after searching around, there wasn't a single model plane in sight. Then Jin-gui's teammates, Zhang Bao and Li Chan, ran over to him. "Brother Qing, where's the stuff? Didn't you say you'd handle our team's model plane?" Jin-gui's face turned grim. He grabbed his phone and sent several voice messages. "Brother Hui, where's my model plane? Didn't you say you'd leave it on the field? It's not here, and I said no upper limit. You just went ahead and maxed out my card. Reply fast, I'm freaking out. You didn't skip town with the cash, did you?" Just as Jin-gui was hopping mad, the model plane competition began. Each team got busy. They lined up their model planes on the runway. In a single row, the models came in all shapes. There were fighter jets, transport planes, and early warning aircraft with big dishes on top. In the crowd, a reporter in a military green t-shirt, He Bingbing, was weaving through with a microphone. She soon came up to Jin Gui's group of 3. Seeing them empty-handed and worried, He Bingbing was a bit surprised. "Classmates, where are your model planes?" All 3 hung their heads, wishing they could sink into the ground. Someone nearby chimed in. "They've got stealth fighters. Visual stealth." Ha ha ha, the students at the competition burst out laughing. Jin Gui stared bitterly at his phone. "Brother Hui, you really screwed me over. I was hoping to show off. Now look, I've just made a fool of myself." Just as Jin Gui was in despair, his phone suddenly lit up. A call came in. Seeing who it was, Jin Gui almost cried. "Lin Hui, damn it, where's my stuff?" "Master Jin, are your eyes just for show? You can't see something that big?" Jin Gui was stunned by that remark. He scanned the field again. Aside from a tarp-covered bundle, there was no model plane anywhere. But suddenly, a thought flashed through Jin Gui's mind. He realized something. "Holy crap, Lin Hui, you don't mean that thing covered with the tarp, do you?" "Yeah, didn't you say the bigger the better? Alright, the rest is up to you." The call ended. Jin Gui stared at the giant thing in the middle of the field. He swallowed hard. He had seen it when he first arrived. He thought it was something the school brought for the competition. He never imagined it was his model plane. After realizing it, Jin Gui immediately ran toward the field. Zhang Bao and Li Qian followed close behind. He Bingbing also went along with her cameraman. Her gut told her there might be a big story under that tarp. Jin Gui nervously ran up to the model plane. He untied the rope and pulled hard. With a whoosh, the tarp fell away. A silver-gray behemoth suddenly appeared before everyone's eyes. Its majestic presence soared like a rainbow piercing the sky. In an instant, it dazzled everyone. Jin Gui was trembling with excitement. He only snapped out of it after a long moment. "Holy crap! Holy freaking crap!" He Bingbing couldn't help herself either. She blurted out a curse. "Holy crap! Is this even a model plane?" Zhang Bao swallowed hard. "Brother Qing, did your classmate mess something up? Did your classmate get something wrong? We want a flying model airplane that can actually fly. How did he end up with this thing?" The commotion over by the Airbus cabin also caught the judge's attention. Serving as the chief judge of the competition was Professor Li Chengshu from the Department of Aeronautical Science. He's also a top expert in the field of aviation in Rongwo. When he first saw this big thing on the playground, he thought it was something the college had put together. But now, his eyes nearly popped out of his head. Swept back wings, twin tails, blended body design. Li Chengshu could tell at a glance that this fighter jet was extraordinary. Then, he threw all dignity aside and sprinted toward the center of the playground. Other students and teachers were in chaos too. "Oh my god, the Decepticons are invading Earth. This thing is way too realistic. The look, the design. It's literally my dream plane." Li Chengshu pushed through the crowd and came to the fighter jet. He walked around it, looking and touching as he went. His heart was shaken by the aerodynamic shape, the design concept, the craftsmanship. Even if it's just an empty shell, it's not something just anyone could pull off. Then he stared intently at Jin Gui and blinked. "Did you make this?" Jin Gui blinked. He lowered his head shyly. "Professor Li, I'm sorry. I had it custom made by a high school classmate. After his dad passed away, he dropped out to take over his family's factory. I just wanted to support his business." Just then, shouts suddenly came from the crowd nearby. "Oh my god, it looks like there are seats inside the cockpit. I see them too. And a screen, and a helmet. It feels so real." Jin Gui suddenly remembered the startup code, 88s. Could this model actually be operable? No way. Thinking this, Jin Gui quickly climbed into the cockpit, flipped open the canopy, and sat inside. Instantly, a beep sounded inside the cockpit. The center console screen lit up, and a numeric keypad popped up. "Ghost Fighter Initial Startup. Please enter startup password." Jin Gui immediately pressed 88s. Then, with a low hum, the massive fuselage gave a slight shudder. Inside the cockpit, red and green indicator lights began flashing. Propulsion system module loading. Full-screen phased array radar system module loading. Weapon system module loading. The surrounding teachers and students were all startled. "Whoa, this empty shell is pretty convincing. Yeah, the sound effects are really well done." Inside the cockpit, Jin Gui put on the helmet. Then, holographic images and text were projected onto the visor. Jin Gui was slightly stunned. Looking closely at the image outline, it was exactly the playground in front of the nose, and the main teaching building. Jin Gui's heart raced. He had a vague feeling that he might have stumbled into something huge. But before he could think more, the prompt sounded again. "All modules loaded. All systems normal. Take off." Preparation complete. Jingui's pupils dilated sharply. Takeoff. No way, is this for real? The next second, the images of the playground and teaching building on the visor all turned red, flashing continuously to warn of obstacles ahead. The aircraft will automatically taxi to a suitable area for takeoff. Jingui steadied himself and felt the massive fuselage begin to move. At the same time, a classic warning sound reached everyone's ears. Beep, beep, backing up. Beep, beep, backing up. This ridiculous sound instantly made the tense crowd all burst out, laughing. The cool, mysterious fighter jet suddenly lost some of its edge, but everyone still cooperated and made way. Then, the silver gray fighter began to taxi slowly. The crowd's relaxed mood immediately tensed up again. No way, this thing can actually move. Honestly, I'm scared it might suddenly take off. What are you thinking? If this thing could fly, I'd eat my hat. In the cockpit, fine beads of sweat appeared on Jingui's forehead. He thought it was impossible, but deep down, he couldn't help secretly hoping. Just then, a message popped up on the smart screen. Ready. Confirm takeoff. Staring at the two options below, one red and one green, Jingui licked his lips and pressed the green confirm takeoff option. But before he could even pull his hand back, a sudden, deafening roar erupted. The fuselage began to violently shake. The rear, flower-like exhaust nozzle swiveled downward. Blue tail flames burst forth. For a moment, everyone was stunned. Is this ... Is this a real engine? Holy crap! This can't be a prototype stolen from the 601 Institute, can it? Li Changshu was completely dumbfounded too. Almost the instant the tail flame shot out, he realized the plane in front of him wasn't a model. It was a genuine fighter jet. He immediately waved his arms and shouted at Jingui, "Stop! Stop now! You can't take off!" But his voice was drowned out by the roar of the jet. Seeing the plane already starting to accelerate, everyone panicked. The runway was only 100 meters long. Ahead were the teaching and dormitory buildings. Just as everyone thought, they were about to witness a tragic scene at Lonqi University. The engine roared with a thunderous blast. The tail flame suddenly blazed bright. The ghost fighter, like a fierce cobra, sharply raised its nose and shot straight into the sky. Then it quickly sped off toward the southeast. In the blink of an eye, it vanished from everyone's sight. It wasn't until the fighter's silhouette was almost out of view that everyone snapped back to reality. Li Changshu licked his dry lips. A chill shot from the solace of his feet straight to the top of his head. This is the capital. The air defense positions around here are dense. If it gets mistaken for an enemy plane, we'll be in huge trouble. Thinking this, Li Changshu quickly pulled out his phone and dialed a number. Hello, hello. Is this Air Defense Command? This is Li Changshu from Longguo University of Science and Technology. Another Lonqi student has flown a fighter jet into the southeastern airspace. Please track it. Whatever you do, don't shoot it down. The duty officer at Air Defense Command, Jibo, was also a Lonqi graduate. Though shocked by Li Changshu's words, his priority now was to locate that fighter jet. But when he looked at the early warning radar screen, he was stunned. Professor Li, are you sure it's the southeast direction? I don't see any target at all. But no sooner had he spoken than a huge roar came from outside the window. Jibo stood up and leaned out the window to look. A silver-gray fighter jet screamed past at low altitude, trailing a cone-shaped cloud of vapor from its tail. Jibo was instantly dumbfounded. That was the sign of a fighter breaking the sound barrier. But then, he thought of something even more terrifying. Why didn't the surveillance radar react at all? That's the most advanced S-band phased array radar in Longguo. Even an American F-22 couldn't hide from it. And now it flew right past him. And the radar didn't even flicker. Realizing the severity of the problem, Jibo immediately pressed the emergency call button. Attention all units. A model fighter jet has entered the southeastern airspace. Air Force, intercept. Moments later, at the southern suburb airport of the capital, a J-20 Wulong fighter roared into the sky. Meanwhile, on the ghost fighter, Jingui was in a state of extreme excitement, especially the moment he broke the sound barrier. It was absolutely exhilarating. Flying a warbird and soaring through the sky. That's a man's true romance. Actually, he was panicked at first, but gradually he found that, with the help of smart voice interaction and autopilot, flying a fighter wasn't that hard after all. He checked the status on his new helmet visor. Display, speed 1.21 Mach, remaining fuel 13.8 tons. He felt there was still plenty of room to increase speed. Just as he was about to accelerate, a message popped up on the panel, warning to be careful. Friendly fighters are approaching from behind. Distance, 50 kilometers. Jingui was startled, but he quickly figured it out. This was Dragon Country, and in the capital, a few fighter jets weren't anything strange. He slowed down his fighter a bit, ready to say hello. Behind the Ghost Fighter, Dragon Country Air Force pilot Xiao Hua was piloting a J-20 fighter, approaching fast at Mach 1.4, staring at the blank radar screen. Xiao Hua couldn't help but complain. "I don't know what kind of model plane this is that they actually sent me from the Flying Tiger Squadron. A golden helmet to intercept it. I really don't know what the higher-ups were thinking." But suddenly, a black dot entered his field of vision. Xiao Hua gently pushed the throttle. The fighter roared and chased after it. The distant black dot in his view gradually grew larger. Xiao's mouth opened wider and wider. "What the hell? Whose model plane looks like that? And it's practically right in my face. Plus, I'm aimed at its tail, the most reflective part, the exhaust nozzle, and the radar still shows nothing. What the heck kind of stealth tech is this?" Soon, the two fighters were flying side by side. Xiao Hua finally got a clear look at the Ghost Fighter. "Wow, is this a Decepticon invasion? Whoever said this was a model plane? I'll slap them silly." Switch to the common emergency frequency. "Attention, nearby fighter. I am Captain Xiao Hua of the Eastern Theater Flying Tiger Squadron. What unit are you from?" Jin Gui waved to Xiao Hua through the cockpit and reported, "I am Jin Gui, a student in the aviation department at Dragon Science and Technology University. I'm conducting a model aircraft flight experiment." Hearing this, Xiao's mouth twitched. "If that's a model plane, then what the hell am I flying?" But he didn't say that out loud. Grinding his molars, he said, "Flight experiments need to be pre-registered. Now, please land immediately." Jin Gui hadn't had his fill yet, but he had no choice. He complied and prepared to turn his fighter back. But suddenly, a red dot popped up on his HUD visor. "Warning, warning. Unknown fighter detected approaching ahead. Distance, 700 kilometers. Jin Gui snapped to attention. He immediately reported to Xiao Hua, "Captain Xiao Hua, an unknown fighter is approaching from 700 kilometers ahead." Xiao Hua frowned. He said irritably, "What? Do you think you're an AWACS? Able to detect 700 kilometers? Sir, there really is an unknown fighter. It's now at 680 kilometers, moving at high speed." Of course, Xiao Hua didn't believe him. Many AWACS planes don't even have a detection range of 700 kilometers. How could a fighter's radar possibly detect that? But, following the principle that no military matter is trivial, Xiao Hua still reported the information to ground command. But soon, the reply came back. "No flight target detected east of the southern airspace." Xiao Hua glared at Jin Gui through the cockpit. "All right, I've already confirmed it. Stop making excuses. Follow me back now." Jin Gui looked at the red dot moving at high speed, which had already entered Dragon Country's airspace. His heart was full of conflict. Logically, he should obey orders now. But the Ghost Fighter had given him too many surprises. He couldn't believe this was a false alarm. He gritted his teeth and said, "Defending our country is every citizen's duty. I can't just watch the enemy violate our Dragon Country's airspace." With that, he slammed the throttle forward. The twin engines roared to full power. With a boom, he shot forward. Xiao Hua watched the fighter rocket away. He glared angrily. "That kid has lost his mind." He immediately pushed the throttle all the way and chased after him. Meanwhile, off the coast of Dragon Country, on the bridge of the Ford-class aircraft carrier, Navy Captain Ross stared at the big screen, at the small red dot that had slowly crossed into Dragon Country's airspace. A smug smile curled at the corner of his mouth. He turned to the carrier's captain, Rear Admiral Thomas, and said, "General ... It seems Dragon Nation hasn't detected the Hydra. Their radar isn't as powerful as they bragged." Thomas, sitting behind his desk, leaned back in his chair. He lifted his eyelids with a disdainful look. "The Hydra has the most advanced stealth tech on Blue Star. There's no way the Dragon Nation people can find it. The Hydra is a new type of drone secretly developed by Eagle Nation. It's ultra-stealth. It integrates ultra-maneuverable AI combat systems and other advanced technologies into one. Even the Pentagon has high hopes for the Hydra. They want this fighter to gain future air supremacy. Eagle Nation's mission this time is to test the Hydra's combat capabilities. Right now, the Hydra drone has quietly infiltrated Dragon Nation's airspace. Its onboard high-resolution synthetic aperture camera has begun silently taking photos. Fields, towns, factories, skyscrapers all captured in full view. After being relayed via satellite, the real-time images are sent to the big screen in the carrier's combat center. Thomas watches the footage with a satisfied smile. "Colonel Ross, if the Hydra returns safely this time, I'll recommend the Pentagon place a bulk order." Ross's face lit up instantly, as if he could already see piles of colorful cash flying his way. Meanwhile, the Ghost Fighter is racing at full speed. Jin Gui sees the speed on his visor has reached Mach 3, but the throttle still hasn't been pushed all the way. He can't help but exclaim in shock. "What kind of plane is this?" Did Lin Hu steal it from the Cybertron planet? But now he can't dwell on it, because on the central control screen, the red dot of the unidentified fighter is getting closer. The enemy has already invaded Dragon Nation's airspace. This is a blatant violation. Jin Gui is furious, but as the distance between them keeps shrinking, he can't help but feel nervous. After all, this is his first time in the sky, and he's already facing an enemy. Finally, a small black dot comes into view. Both sides are moving extremely fast. The black dot quickly grows larger in his field of vision. In the moment they pass each other, Jin Gui finally gets a clear look at the invading enemy plane. It's a dark blue-black painted, blended wing body, flat-nosed drone with no cockpit. What's more glaring is the Eagle Nation flag emblem on it. Jin Gui is burning with rage. He immediately issues a voice command to make a sharp turn. Lock onto the target. With the command given, the ghost fighter suddenly pitches its nose up, performing a cobra maneuver. It executes an emergency brake in midair. Then, in a bizarre move, it makes a drift-like tailswing action, similar to a car drifting. The entire fuselage completes a 180-degree turn in the air. Thanks to the G-force protection, Jin Gui only feels a slight lack of oxygen in his brain. By the time he comes to his senses, the ghost fighter has already tailed the Eagle Nation drone. Jin Gui's eyes dart around. A bold idea pops into his head. He slowly climbs above the Eagle Nation drone. Hey, since you're here, let me give you a taste of my old man's pee. Don't say we Dragon Nation folks don't know hospitality. Then he gently presses the fuel dump button in the corner of the panel. Instantly, fuel pours down like a waterfall in the sky. The yellow fuel directly drenches the Eagle Nation drone's top. As luck would have it, Xiao Hua, who had been chasing after them, just happens to witness this scene. He's instantly stunned, mouth agape. Damn, college kids sure know how to have fun. Meanwhile, on the Ford-class carrier, the footage of the two planes crossing is shown on the combat center screen. The operator is busy sending a return command, but suddenly, the screen shakes slightly. Several of the split screens immediately blur. It looks like some yellow liquid has smeared them. The combat center erupts in chaos. What the hell? Is that bird poop? Return immediately. Get out of Dragon Nation's airspace as fast as possible. The operator frantically issues the command, trying to make the Hydra return urgently. Jin Gui sees this and won't let it escape so easily. He pulls off another mid-air drift. Xiao Hua's eyes nearly popped out of his head. Is this even a plane anymore? Newton's 3 laws don't apply to you. Meanwhile, Jin Gui had already extended the hydraulic tail again. Immediately reported to Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua, superior. The Eagle is about to flee. Should we open fire? Xiao Hua looked at the Eagle insignia on the drone. He was also burning with rage. He immediately requested orders from the war zone. This is 8,237. An Eagle insignia drone spotted in the southeastern airspace. It has intruded into Dragon Country's airspace. Is opening fire authorized? The next second, the war zone's order came back. Open fire authorized. Must shoot it down. The war zone's response was firm and decisive. A lousy drone dares to act tough, intruding into Dragon Country's airspace. If we don't shoot it down, what are we saving it for? New Year's. Having received the order to fire, Xiao Hua's eyes sharpened. He immediately activated the fire control radar. The hidden missile bay under the J-20 opened. A slender PL-10 short-range dogfight missile extended out of the bay. With a whoosh, like an arrow from a bow, it shot forward. In the blink of an eye, it had caught up behind the Hydra, stabbing straight up like a sharp sword. Jin Gui's eyes went wide. Just as he thought the PL-10 would hit its mark, the Hydra executed a swift sideways roll, dodging the fatal strike. Xiao Hua was stunned. To actually dodge a PL-10 attack, this drone's maneuverability is off the charts. Just as Xiao Hua was about to launch another attack, Jin Gui's voice suddenly came through. Xiao Hua, superior. How about letting me give it a try too? Isn't that just a model plane? You don't have weapons on it, do you? I do. A plasma laser cannon. Super maneuverable dogfight missile. Hearing these terms, Xiao Hua was completely dumbfounded and blurted out, "Fine, if you think you can, go ahead." Jin Gui then issued a voice command to lock onto the target. Prepare to attack. A crosshair appeared on the entire series. As his gaze moved, the ghost fighter's radar switched to fire control mode, firmly locking onto the target. Thinking about how he was about to attack the Eagle drone, Jin Gui's heart raced with excitement. He took a deep breath and pressed the attack button hard. A beam of deep blue light instantly streaked across the sky like a sword, precisely hitting the fleeing Eagle drone ahead. The drone burst into a bright flash of light. Xiao Hua watched in awe. It's down. It's really down. Jin Gui also waved his fists in excitement. Hit. I shot down the Eagle's drone. Inside the Combat Information Center of the Ford-class carrier, a harsh electronic noise rang out. Then several subscreens instantly went black. Hydra has lost signal. Without a doubt, the Hydra had been shot down. Thomas's face darkened. After a moment's thought, he ordered, notify the Pentagon. File a protest with the Dragon Country military. Demand compensation. The Dragon Country military has already cut off the hotline with us. Hearing his subordinate's reply, Thomas could no longer maintain his composure. He roared, what the F***K? Then notify the White House. Meanwhile, over Dragon Country's airspace, the Ghost fighter flew wing to wing with the J-20. They were on their way back. Xiao Hua opened the emergency channel and said, Jingui, classmate Jingui, you're coming with me now. Report to the war zone immediately. Jingui was taken aback. Then he quickly understood. The war zone must have taken an interest in the Ghost fighter. But this Ghost fighter cost him 10 million to build. He hadn't even had his fill of flying it yet. So he spoke weakly. Xiao Hua, superior, could I go back to school first? And report to the war zone in a few days? I still need to go back for a competition. This is a war zone order. Do you think this is a market where you can haggle? Jingui pouted in dissatisfaction. Then his eyes darted around. He thought, if you won't let me go back, doesn't mean I can't. Anyway, you can't catch me. With that, he turned the Ghost fighter around. Xiao Hua was stunned by Jingui's sudden move. Before he could say anything, he saw the Ghost fighter roar off into the distance. In the blink of an eye, he left him in the dust. Jingui piloted the fighter jet at Mach 4, racing along at full speed. 5 minutes later, he appeared over Lonqi University. Li Changshu breathed a sigh of relief seeing the returning jet. He immediately evacuated the crowd, getting ready to welcome the fighter jet. Jingui watched the crowd moving like ants on the field, but he didn't land right away. Instead, he gently moved the control stick and began the personal performance he had always dreamed of. First, a cobra maneuver, then a falling leaf maneuver. The grand finale was a drift in the air. When this move, which defied Newton's 3 laws, appeared, the field went completely wild. Master Jin, please stop your magic show. Newton's coffin lid can't hold anymore. We're just here for a model airplane competition. Why are you bringing a Decepticon to the party? High up in the sky, after Jingui finished all his moves, he landed on the field, fully satisfied. He jumped down from the cockpit. The crowd immediately swarmed around him. The scene was so intense, Jingui didn't know which foot to step with first. In the end, he accidentally walked with the same arm and leg. Everyone burst out laughing. The perfect showing off moment crashed at the last second. But that didn't dampen anyone's enthusiasm. Li Changshu took the lead and asked, Student Jingui, who actually built this plane? Is it really that classmate you mentioned? Of course, Professor Li, you don't know. I just asked him to build me a model airplane. Who knew? He'd go and make me a fighter jet like this. And to build this plane, I maxed out my 10 million credit card. I haven't even settled the score with him yet. Jingui said this, sounding a bit like he was gloating. But it made Li Changshu's eyes go wide. 10 million to build a fighter jet. And on a credit card. Is that something a person can say? He Bingbing also pushed through the crowd. Student Jin. So where does your classmate work? Is it at 601 Liaoning Aircraft or Chengdu Aircraft? No. It's his family's machinery factory. I think it's called Jiangwo Machinery Factory. It's a small private factory in a township. Everyone was speechless again. A township machinery factory can build a fighter jet. How ridiculous does that sound? Just as he Bingbing wanted to ask more, a few military jeeps sped into the field, stopping right in front of everyone. A group of soldiers in camouflage got out. The leading man had a square face and sharp eyes. Li Changshu saw him. It was the commander of the 101st Division of the Kyoto Theater. Zhang Guoqiang immediately stepped forward. Commander Zhang, I'm sorry I didn't welcome you. Zhang Guoqiang glanced at the Ghost fighter jet parked on the field. His eyes blazed with intense excitement. Then he reluctantly looked away at Li Changshu. Professor Li, your security is too tight. A fighter jet this advanced. Not a single leak. Li Changshu gave a bitter smile. To be honest, this is my first time seeing this fighter jet. And this plane didn't come from Lonqi University. It came from a township machinery factory. Hearing this, Zhang Guoqiang was completely stunned. A township machinery factory? You must be joking. But with so many people around, he didn't press further. Instead, he asked, so which student is Jingui, who shot down the Eagle drone? None of the people on the field knew about the feat of shooting down the British drone. So there was another wave of gasps. Jingui stepped forward and saluted Zhang Guoqiang. Reporting, sir, it was me. Zhang Guoqiang looked Jingui up and down. Then he said in a low voice, kid, you disobeyed orders. I told you to return to the theater. And you ran back to school. I'll deal with you later. Then he looked at the crowd and said sternly, starting now, the field is sealed off. No one is allowed near the fighter jet. As for what happened today, Don't breathe a single word of this to anyone. And that includes the reporters. There's a lot of information about this fighter jet that needs to be confirmed. For now, it's not convenient to give it widespread coverage. You know the specifics. Then, several soldiers quickly surrounded the fighter jet. The tarpaulin on the parade ground was also put back on. And they set up a cordon. Seeing that everything was properly arranged, Li Changshu notified Tang Zhonghua, the chief of the 6th generation fighter program. He told him to bring the research team over. Then he took Jin Gui to a meeting room at Lonqi University for a secret debriefing. After hearing Jin Gui's account of how the ghost fighter was born, and the details of how it shot down the British drone, Zhang Guoqiang and Li Changshu were both too shocked to speak. Detected the target from over 700 kilometers away. It has stealth capabilities and is equipped with a laser cannon. A fighter jet like something out of a dream. And it came from a township machinery factory. And it only cost 10 million. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Zhang Guoqiang immediately slammed the table. Lin Hui, I need to meet this person as soon as possible. On the other side, at Jiangwo Machinery Factory, I was busy processing a batch of aluminum alloy railings when suddenly I heard several screeching brakes outside. I thought a customer had come. I quickly put down my work and ran out. Then I saw a long line of military jeeps parked outside the gate. Right after that, Jin Gui was the first to jump out of a car. He ran over to me excitedly. Buddy, you're such a good friend. I asked you to build a model plane, and you built me a real one. Huh, how about that? Just tell me, was the money well spent or not? Worth it, absolutely worth it. Just then, the others in the cars also came over. Jin Gui quickly pulled me over to an elegant old man with graying temples. Mr. Tang, this is the Lin Hui I told you about. Seeing this man, I was also taken aback. Tang Zhonghua, Mr. Tang, a National Treasure Academician at Lonqi Academy, the chief engineer for the 6th generation fighter's development. This was a big shot who had been on the news. I quickly stepped forward to greet him. Mr. Tang, I never thought I'd get to meet you in my lifetime. What an honor, truly an honor. Ah, no, it's my honor to meet you. Sorry, I'm just too excited. Tang Zhonghua laughed heartily. Well then, I guess we're even. When I saw that ghost fighter you built, I was so excited I almost had a heart attack. Everyone was amused by Mr. Tang's humor. Jin Gui continued with the introductions. This is Professor Li from Lonqi University. This is Division Commander Wei. I greeted everyone. Wow, it's either military leaders or top academics. Looks like I'm about to land a huge deal today. After the pleasantries, I invited everyone inside. But as soon as they walked in, they saw a bold and imposing advertisement on the wall. This factory specializes in aircraft carrier manufacturing, nuclear submarine maintenance, missile polishing, satellite dusting, and space station repair. For a moment, everyone looked at me with strange expressions. I was just thinking about seizing the opportunity to introduce our services, when Mr. Tang patted me on the shoulder and said with a smile, if you can build such an incredible ghost fighter, building an aircraft carrier shouldn't be hard either. Young man, I believe in you. The sales pitch I had on the tip of my tongue died in my throat. Li Changshu and the research team looked around. They felt that such a crude machinery factory didn't seem like the place that could build a ghost fighter. But when they entered the production workshop and saw the super processing platform, with its mechanical beauty and sci-fi feel, everyone was completely captivated. Wow, flexible robotic arms, 3D printing stations, high-precision machine tools. Some of these devices, even they didn't recognize. Li Changshu pointed at a device that looked like a pressure cooker and asked, Lin Hui, what's this for? This is a nanomaterial synthesis furnace. The stealth coating for the ghost fighter, the micromolecular graphene, was synthesized inside it. It can absorb over 95% of radar waves. Li Changshu's eyes went wide. No wonder. The entire Warzone's radar couldn't spot the ghost fighter. Everyone stared at the super processing platform. They found everything about it fascinating. They started firing questions at me, one after another. I patiently answered each one. By now, everyone was completely thrilled. All their doubts had vanished into thin air. By the way, Lin Hui, where did you get this equipment? If only our research institute had a set like this. I smiled smugly. This is my own custom build, the only one of its kind. Plus, my machinery factory is just me. From CEO to security guard, it's all me. Everyone's eyes were filled with sheer disbelief. You see, fighter jets and machine tools. These are two vastly different fields, and they cover mechanics, materials, system integration, and dozens of disciplines like aerodynamics. For one person to master them all, and he's just a young man in his early 20s. This isn't just talent. This is genius. A genius like this had to drop out of school due to family issues. What a loss to society. For a moment, old Tang was filled with deep emotion. After a while, he collected his thoughts. Comrade Lin Hui, we've done a preliminary evaluation of the Ghost Fighter. Its performance exceeds 6th generation fighter standards. The reason we came is to discuss with you whether you'd be willing to cooperate with the Dragon Science Institute to produce the Ghost Fighter. Old Tang, that's not necessary. Hearing my blunt refusal, everyone's expressions shifted slightly. Seeing this, I smiled and said, don't misunderstand, everyone. As you can see, my production capacity is very limited. Besides, the Ghost Fighter's technology isn't that hard. I can donate it to the Dragon Kingdom for free. Everyone present was stunned again. As researchers, they knew best how much money and effort it takes to develop an advanced fighter jet. Take the Eagle's F-2 Raptor, for example. I heard its R&D cost alone hit $30 billion. And now this young man was offering a free donation. Many people's eyes welled up, but my thinking was simple. The Sky Domain system can only be operated by me. It can't be turned into a mass production line. So I might as well donate the tech and use it to build some goodwill. Everyone here is a major figure in the Dragon Kingdom. Later on, I can ask for some favors. Jin Gui wiped away a tear. He patted my shoulder. Buddy, are you trying to make it into the top 10 people who move the Dragon Kingdom? With your situation, wouldn't it be better to ask for money? Old Tang was deeply moved. He grabbed Lin Hui's hand, trembling. Comrade, I know your patriotic heart, but the Dragon Kingdom won't let you lose out. How about this? You provide the tech, the country produces it, and you get a percentage cut from each fighter jet. I thought it over and felt Old Tang's suggestion was actually more reasonable for me. Even though I got this tech for free from the system, I still need to eat and save up for a wife, so I nodded and agreed. Okay, no problem, I'll take 10%. After all, I can't help with anything besides the tech. But Old Tang clearly thought that was still unfair, especially after hearing my earlier talk about donating it for free. Afraid I'd get the short end, he directly set the cut at 50%. While everyone was heatedly discussing this, suddenly, Jin Gui shouted, "Hey, big shots, check out the news. The Ghost Fighter is trending." Everyone pulled out their phones to check. Sure enough, there were several hot topics. 6th Gen fighter spotted at Dragon University Aerospace Model Competition. Mysterious fighter test flight over the capital. Zhang Guoqiang didn't seem bothered by Ben. Don't worry too much. With so many people seeing the fighter take off that day, secrecy isn't that important anymore. We can use this to our advantage and take the Eagle down a notch. Old Tang nodded in agreement. That's right. There's still the Bureau, so what's there to worrying about? Right, I understand, young comrade. Regarding the performance of the Ghost Fighter, we still need to keep exploring it. So I'd like to ask you to come with us to the capital. I'm not sure if it's convenient seeing Old Tang personally invite me. One agreed very readily. Soon, everyone set off on the road back to the capital. They arrived at a secret base on the outskirts of the capital. Inside a hidden hangar, I saw the Ghost Fighter again. A group of technical staff were gathered around the fighter, surveying and studying it. Seeing this, I pulled a USB drive from my pocket. Old Tang, this is all the technical data for the Ghost Fighter. With this, you won't have to work so hard. Old Tang took the USB drive with trembling hands, holding it as if it weighed 1,000 pounds. Changzhu and Zhang Guoqiang also looked solemn. No wonder Old Tang's hands were shaking. This USB drive is said to be worth a fortune, but that's still far underestimating the technology inside. It could even change the global landscape. After the moment of awe, Old Tang said the data can only serve as a technical benchmark to test the Ghost Fighter's actual combat capability. It's best to do it through a mock battle. Zhang Guoqiang perked up immediately upon hearing this. A mock battle sounds great. Just so happens everyone heard a new fighter's arrived, and they all want to see what it can do. Wait for me. I'll arrange for pilots to come right away. Jin Gui immediately stepped forward. Chief, you don't need a pilot, I can fly it. Me and Minchin also raised my hand. Commander, let me pilot it. This fighter was built by me. No one knows the Ghost Fighter better than I do. To fully tap into its combat potential, I'm the best choice. Understand this, young comrade. Flying a plane is no joke. Commander, trust me. This fighter has a very high degree of automation. I'm not going to risk my own life for fun. Zhang Guoqiang and Old Tang exchanged a look, and finally nodded. After all, even the kid Jin Gui could fly it without issue. Then I climbed up the boarding ladder and into the cockpit. After sitting down, I pressed a button. With a click, a section of the fuselage behind the cockpit slowly popped out, revealing another seat like magic. Old Tang was stunned. So the Ghost Fighter is a two-seater. Yesterday, they'd studied it for ages, yet never noticed a seat could pop out here. I smiled and explained. To be precise, it can be adjusted between single and dual. The rear seat is removable. If needed, it can be used to install functional modules. Oh, Chairman, didn't you mention a mock battle? You could start by arranging a squadron to try it out. Everyone's eyes went wide instantly, staring at me like I was crazy. Zhang Guoqiang was also amused and annoyed. Comrade Lin Hui, do you even know that a squadron has 24 planes? You, one person, taking on a whole squadron. That's absolutely impossible. Don't worry, Chairman. Back in the day, the Eagles F-2 scored a 1-for-4 TOO record. I have laser weapons. Taking on one squadron is pretty normal, right? Normal, my foot. The Eagle was doing one-on-one duels. Besides, how inflated were the Eagle's numbers? You're young, but you sure talk big. With that attitude, why not take on an entire carrier strike group? Well, that could be tried too. Old Tang saw that Zhang Guoqiang and I were about to clash, and quickly stepped in to mediate. Old Zhang, why get so worked up over a kid? Just treat it as an extreme stress test. Digging into the potential, trying it out won't hurt, right? Hearing this, Zhang Guoqiang snorted. It wasn't that he had to argue with some kid, but a rookie, claiming to take on a whole squadron single-handedly. That was just too disrespectful. Now, after hearing Old Tang's words, he realized he'd overreacted. He immediately gave the order. Flying Tiger Squadron, assemble immediately. Prepare for the mock battle. With Zhang Guoqiang's command, every department sprang into action. I looked at Jin Gui, who was standing nearby like a squeezed eggplant, and smiled, calling out, Master Jin, come on up. You sit in the back. Jin Gui didn't hesitate for a second before climbing into the cockpit. You sit in the back. Jin Gui climbed into the cabin almost without a second's hesitation. A few minutes later, the Ghost Fighter slowly taxied onto the runway. The system self-check was complete. All systems ready. Cleared for takeoff. Listening to the smart voice prompts, I wasn't in a hurry to take off. I pulled out my phone. Found Ghost Fighter in the Wi-Fi list. Entered 8 8s to connect. The Ghost Fighter has global networking capability. Basically a giant mobile Wi-Fi hotspot. That was a feature I specifically added. Jin Gui, in the back seat, had his mouth wide enough to fit an egg. Brother Hui, you're serious about connecting a fighter jet to Wi-Fi. So next time I can game online up in the sky. Hey, you bet. If it didn't even have Wi-Fi, how could it be called a next-generation fighter? Alright, let's get ready for takeoff. Then I looked straight ahead and gently pressed the start button. The 4 engines roared to life. Blue exhaust flames shot out. The Ghost Fighter lifted its nose, accelerated for just 50 meters, and shot straight into the sky. Even Li Changshu, who had seen it once before, was still stunned by the sight. With this ultra-short takeoff, if it were on an aircraft carrier, you wouldn't even need a catapult, right? Exactly. With the Ghost Fighter, the design of the 006 needs to be adjusted. Meanwhile, on another runway, 24 J-20 fighters, 3 at a time, lined up in 8 groups, taxied onto the runway in perfect formation, and began accelerating down the runway for takeoff. 10 minutes later, all 24 fighters were airborne. Inside the ground command center, the operator stared at the screen, covered in densely moving dots. Reporting, sir, reporting. No sign of the Ghost Fighter. Zhang Guoqiang nodded without saying a word. The Ghost Fighter's incredible stealth capability. He had heard about it before. Neither ground radar nor airborne radar had ever managed to lock onto the Ghost Fighter. It truly deserved the name Ghost. Suddenly, a target popped up on the radar screen. Staring at that blinking dot, Zhang Guoqiang laughed out loud. You little rascal. Finally caught you. Just then, a voice suddenly came through the comm channel. Chairman, I just turned on the electronic lens. You saw my position, right? The smile on Zhang Guoqiang's face froze instantly. 1 against 24, and you still turned on the lens. That's just insulting. Old Tang couldn't help laughing beside him. Old Zhang. That's like letting him have 2 6s at the start of a game. Zhang Guoqiang snorted, then switched the comm channel, and spoke, attention all groups. The Ghost is in Sector 17. You must catch him. Meanwhile, on the Ghost Fighter's screen, little red dots were rapidly approaching. Alarms sounded one after another. Alert, 6 fighters ahead. Distance 100 kilometers. Alert, 3 fighters to the left. Distance 98 kilometers. The 24 fighters of the Flying Tiger Squadron were positioned all around the Ghost Fighter, as if setting up an inescapable net. I calmly operated the control panel quickly. First, I turned off the lens, then switched the system to exercise mode. After everything was ready, the target ahead had closed in to 50 kilometers. I immediately issued a fire control command. The next second, a crosshair appeared on my helmet visor and instantly locked onto one of the targets. Target locked. Plasma laser ready. Hearing the smart prompt, I immediately pressed the attack button. On a J-20 fighter 50 kilometers away, the pilot heard the piercing fire control radar alarm and was about to maneuver to evade when suddenly a pale blue beam shot toward him, giving him no time to react at all. A bitter smile appeared on the pilot's face. "Leader, I've been hit. Be careful, everyone." But as soon as he spoke, another blue beam streaked across the sky. The leader's bitter voice came through. It immediately reached everyone's ears. "I got hit too. This laser weapon is really something else." Inside the ground command room, Zhang Guoqiang stared at the radar screen. His face dark. The little dots representing the J-20s were dwindling one by one. The ghost fighter, like a phantom, within the flying tigers' encirclement, carved through them 7 times in and out. It was a total beatdown. The only hope was to flank from behind. Then Zhang Guoqiang turned his gaze to the 3-man team led by Xiaohua on the screen. They had made a wide detour, and now crept up behind the ghost fighter. He wondered if they'd get a chance to launch an attack. But Zhang Guoqiang's hope was dashed. Xiaohua's team, thinking they were hidden, had already been spotted by the ghost fighter's 360-degree radar. Seeing the 3 enter attack range, I immediately pulled up the laser system on the central screen. Click to rotate the direction. The plasma laser emitter instantly swiveled, locking onto the J-20s behind. Jingui watched this, eyes gleaming. "Nice one, brother Hui." With this feature, the fighter doesn't need to turn around to fire in all 360 degrees. Meanwhile, Xiaohua was focused dead ahead. As the only pilot among them who had witnessed the ghost fighter in action, he knew full well how insane its stealth capability was. Relying on radar to spot it was impossible. The only chance was to get close and tail attack within visual range. Luckily, he found it. Staring at the tiny black dot ahead, Xiaohua immediately called out to his 2 wingmen. "Target spotted." In an instant, all 3 accelerated simultaneously, ready to close in for a dogfight with the ghost fighter. But suddenly, 3 beeps sounded. The fire control radar alarms on all 3 fighters went off at once. Xiaohua's heart skipped a beat. Then 3 pale blue beams came in quick succession, perfectly executing a triple strike. Xiaohua's team's 3 fighters were hit instantly. Inside the ground command room, Zhang Guoqiang felt his morale shatter. He admitted the ghost fighter was strong, but the flying tigers were also a top-tier unit. He thought this would be a tactical contest, but he never expected that, in the face of absolute power, all skill and tactics were meaningless. This wasn't a drill or a contest. It was a one-sided slaughter, a total stomp. Tang Lao and Li Changshu were also utterly stunned. The ghost fighter's combat capability far exceeded their expectations. When the score hit 12-0, Tang Lao couldn't help but speak up. "Old Zhang, there's no need to continue." "And the exercise?" Zhang Guoqiang let out a long sigh and nodded helplessly. He understood Tang Lao was thinking of the flying tigers' morale. If they really got crushed 24-0, it might severely damage this elite unit's confidence. And now he mostly felt lucky that the ghost fighter belonged to Dragon Nation. In the future, the flying tigers might also get the ghost fighter. With that thought, Zhang Guoqiang's mood lightened. He ordered all fighters to return to base. A few minutes later, in the glow of the setting sun, the ghost fighter, like a victorious swordsman, slowly touched down on the runway. Tang Lao watched, thrilled, mass-produce it immediately. That night, I returned to my base room and saw Jingui had shared a live stream with me. It was my goddess He Bingbing interviewing a guest. The topic was the mysterious fighter jet that appeared at the Lonqi University Aviation Model Exhibition. In the live stream, the director smiled at the camera and said, "I see many netizens calling it a 6th-gen fighter. Don't believe the rumors, everyone. You can't just call anything that flies a 6th-gen fighter, right? Besides, the American 6th-gen isn't even out yet. How could Dragon Nation possibly have one?" He Bingbing also smiled and picked up the thread. "The director is right. Our technology is more than 20 years behind America's. We still need to keep following in America's footsteps." He Bingbing and the director played off each other. Everyone in the bullet comments was stunned. The eagle is about to be rubbed bald by the rabbit, isn't it? How much more rubbing can it take? I feel like the director said everything, but also said nothing at all. So, is that really a 6th-generation fighter or not? Just listen to the director's debunking in reverse. After the show ended, the director looked at the bullet comments and smiled bitterly. Netizens are getting harder to handle with each passing year. I'm afraid I won't be able to keep this up after the war. He Bingbing joked, then switched to being Director Kong. The director waved his hand with a laugh. Haha, that would be stealing Pao's job. The next morning, Jin Gui and I arrived early at the base meeting room. We saw Old Tang and Li Changshu, both with deep, dark circles under their eyes. Old Tang, "Professor Li, didn't you get any rest?" Old Tang and Li Changshu exchanged a glance and explained with a chuckle. "We were too excited reading the materials you gave us yesterday. We barely slept all night." "Me too. The ghost fighter technology is so advanced. Responsibly speaking, it absolutely crushed the eagle." Seeing the two of them, though tired, with a sparkle in their eyes, My heart was instantly moved. It's people like Old Tang, generation after generation of military industry workers, who pour their passion and devote themselves selflessly to build up Dragon Country day by day. Only then can Dragon Country have what it has today. Just as they were chatting, suddenly footsteps sounded outside the meeting room. Several soldiers in sea blue camouflage pushed the door open and entered. At the front was a middle-aged soldier with a sturdy build and a square face. Seeing the newcomer, Zhang Guoqiang immediately stood up. Jin Donghai, what brings you here? Jin Donghai smiled slightly. You took my family's ghost fighter without even saying a word. Can't I come and take a look? Hearing this, everyone present was stunned. What's going on? How did the ghost fighter become Jin Donghai's? Is he planning to take it openly? Just as everyone was puzzled, a stammering voice suddenly came from behind the crowd. Why are you here? Everyone turned to look at Jin Gui. I was also shocked, my mouth wide open. I only knew Jin Gui's mother was a business tycoon. I never expected his father to be a military big shot. This is definitely the protagonist's script. Jin Donghai let out a stern scold. You brat, you're getting bolder and bolder. You actually went and built a plane on your own. Do you want to fly to the sky? Dad, I originally just wanted to make a model airplane. Who knew Brother Hui would end up building a real one? HMPH. If he can build it, that's his skill. Can you build it? Listening to the father-son exchange, Zhang Guoqiang pursed his lips. All right, Jin Donghai, you to father and son, stop putting on a double act. The ghost fighter is already ours. Zhang Guoqiang, the plane was paid for by my son's card. How did it become yours? Fine. How much did your son spend? I'll reimburse you. Does my Jin family lack that little bit of money? Who wants your reimbursement? Seeing that they were about to start arguing, Old Tang cleared his throat and stepped in to mediate. Captain Jin, the ghost fighter has already been requisitioned by us. The cost of building the fighter will be applied for and returned to young Master Jin. Besides, the ghost fighter can go into mass production soon. Why rush things? Jin Donghai laughed heartily. Looking at Zhang Guoqiang, he said triumphantly, fine. Then all order to squadrons first. Zhang Guoqiang was furious. In your dreams, there has to be some order of priority. I reserved it first. If you want to line up, you'll have to get behind me. Jin Donghai and Zhang Guoqiang started bickering again. The two were classmates at the military academy. They've been competing with each other since school. Now one is an Air Force Division commander, and the other is an aircraft carrier captain. Every time they meet, they still refuse to give in. Old Tang sighed. He stepped forward again. He directly changed the subject. Captain Jin, it's rare for you to come here. Tell us about it. How's the situation in the southern waters lately? Speaking of that, Jin Donghai instantly dropped his temper. He let out a sigh. It's still that stranded wreck on the reef in the teaching area. Those people are like flies. They don't bite, but they're still annoying as hell. Zhang Guoqiang snorted. Aren't you supposed to be pretty capable? A broken ship has you this stumped? Jin Donghai was momentarily speechless. The red stranded on the reef off Longwo's southern islets. It's basically become a monthly topic on Longwo's internet. Every so often, it sparks debate. That wreck has been deliberately grounded on Longwo's reef for nearly 20 years. As the hull keeps rusting away, those monkeys keep shipping and building materials to reinforce it. Everyone knows what they're up to, but for various reasons, Longwo still can't do anything about that wreck for now. Seeing everyone so frustrated, my eyes suddenly lit up. Folks, I have an idea. At that, everyone turned to look at me. Jin Donghai even strode right up to me. Spit it out, he demanded. What's the plan? Have sharks eat the Malur village? Everyone was stunned. This is a serious occasion. Stop joking around. Jin Donghai rolled his eyes. Lin Hui, he said helplessly. Even if you've gone crazy, are the sharks crazy enough to chew on steel plates? But Old Tang caught on. After a moment, he suddenly thought of something. Wait, Lin Hui, what did you say? Shark release machine. Nuclear-powered sharks? Everyone took a moment to process it. Their eyes were full of disbelief. A nuclear-powered bionic shark? You want to nibble away at it like an ant eating an elephant? But a bionic shark ... How do you even build that? Jin Donghai stared at me intently. Lin Hui, you can build this shark, can't you? I smiled and nodded. Of course I wouldn't suggest it if I couldn't. But I'll need Captain Jin's help with the materials. No problem, that's nothing. Leave it to me. Jin Donghai immediately pounded his chest in assurance. Zhang Guoqiang, listening nearby, felt like that old fox Jin Donghai was taking advantage of him again. He'd already claimed half the Phantom Fighter. Now there's this bionic shark thing. It sounds pretty impressive. But this was about the southern islands, so he wasn't about to kick up a fuss now. Over the next 2 days, Jin Donghai and I worked out the details for the bionic shark. Then I took a special car and left the base. The drive took over 3 hours. When I reached the machinery factory gate, I was stunned. Holy crap! Did I take a wrong turn? A newly built red brick wall. A gatehouse with cement that hadn't even dried. A brand new electric sliding gate. If it weren't for Uncle Jong sitting at the entrance, I'd really think I was lost. So I hurried over and asked Uncle Jong, "What's going on here? And why are you here?" Uncle Jong looked at me, then at the guards Jindong Hai had arranged behind me. His old face crinkled into a grin like a chrysanthemum. "Last time, a bunch of big shots came to your place, right? So the county allocated funds to fix up your gate. At least it doesn't look so shabby now. As for me, the village chief personally assigned me to watch the gate. Don't worry, Zihui. With me here, not a single screw will go missing." Hearing Uncle Jang's words, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Luckily, after a quick look around, I found that aside from the titty-top weeds, nothing inside the factory had changed. That afternoon, Jin Donghai not only delivered all the materials I'd listed, but also arranged for dozens of soldiers to stand guard at the gate. He put the entire Jiangwo machinery factory under lockdown. No unauthorized personnel were allowed near. Poor Uncle Jong lost his job after just one day. Once everything was ready, I went into the workshop and activated the Tianyu system. I officially began building the bionic shark, the Sawtooth. As I issued command after command, the super processing platform started up again. 3 days later, an 18-meter-long, gray-white-skinned megalodon shark appeared on the workshop workbench. Its triangular head looked incredibly fierce. Its titanium alloy teeth gleamed with a cold shine. The shark's skin felt smooth and slippery, just like real fish skin. But all that was secondary. The most important thing was this megalodon's performance. It could reach a speed of 200 knots. Its bite force could hit 200 tons. And its power reached 5,000 horsepower. With this thing, we could tear apart that pile of scrap metal. But having just one wasn't enough. So I went into overdrive mode again. A full month later, all 10 megalodons were finally completed. Jin Donghai had also arranged, a week early, for people to clear the roads. They were ready to start transport. On that day, the soldiers who came to pick up the goods saw the megalodons in the workshop. They were so stunned they couldn't close their mouths for a long time. "Comrade Lin Hui, you didn't sneak these out from the set of a Jason Statham movie, did you? They look way too real and terrifying. Hey, the movie's giant shark is nothing compared to these. Just go ahead and use them with confidence. Within a month, I guarantee that wreck will be chewed down to nothing." Everyone immediately arranged for people to start moving them. 10 large transport trucks lined up in a long convoy, stretching from the machinery factory all the way to the village entrance. It was quite a sight. I was about to get some good rest when I got a call from Jin Donghai. He asked me to come with the convoy to the riverside base. I thought it was about launching the megalodons, and that they needed my help. But when I got there, it turned out to be something else big. It turned out that after the Eagle's drone was shot down, afterwards, the Eagle side had negotiated with Dragon Country many times, demanding the return of the hydraulic wreckage. The Eagle got furious, and together with the island and the hard pan, they held a joint military exercise at sea. What was even more infuriating was that the area designated for this exercise was actually right near Dragon Country's territorial waters. This was clearly a deliberate provocation. Listening to Jin Donghai recount the situation, I was also furious. "Uncle Jin, what does the higher-ups say? Do they need me for something?" Jin Donghai nodded. Then he spoke. "The higher-ups have decided to reveal the Ghost Fighter early, also as a military exercise to intimidate the little ones. But considering the polar pilots aren't familiar enough with the Ghost Fighter, they want you to come and provide flight guidance." Hearing this, I was silent for a moment. A bold plan quickly took shape in my mind. Then I stood up and said seriously, "Uncle Jin, let me pilot the Ghost Fighter. Right now, there's only one Ghost Fighter, and no pilot has done any flight training on it, so I'm more suitable than anyone else." Hearing my words, Jin Donghai immediately stood up and refused, saying, "Lin Hui, no, you can't fly it. This exercise carries some risk. I can't let anything happen to you." The others also nodded in agreement. Looking at everyone, I slowly laid out my plan. The meeting room fell silent for a moment. Everyone's eyes showed shock, excitement, and worrying. Then, after a detailed discussion, Jin Donghai finally agreed to let me pilot the Ghost Fighter in this exercise. The next day, on the Dongshan aircraft carrier, he Bingbing, dressed in navy blue and white camouflage, stood heroically in front of the camera and said, "Dear viewers, hello, welcome to the Junwoo livestream. I'm He Bingbing." A while back, rumors about a futuristic fighter jet being unveiled sparked heated debate online. The Eagle also claimed that the one that shot down their drone was our futuristic fighter. So what's the real truth? Today, we're about to reveal With that, the camera panned. The ghost fighter, in a dreamlike form, fully appeared on the screen. The livestream room instantly exploded. Oh my god, is this fighter sure it's not a model? This is cooler than watching a movie. How does our country always pull off big things quietly? Building such an awesome fighter. Why didn't they give me a heads up? This is literally the fighter of my dreams. He Bing Bing, seeing the barrage reactions, smirked, then looked at the camera and introduced, "Dear viewers, this is our Dragon Nation's latest developed super generation fighter, the Ghost Fighter. Next, I'll be riding the Ghost Fighter in today's exercise, showing you all its performance live." Soon, he Bing Bing boarded the rear seat of the fighter, and I, in the front seat, had already changed into a camouflage uniform. Seeing he Bing Bing on board, I immediately started piloting the Ghost Fighter for takeoff, taxi, accelerate, lift off, climb one smooth motion. The livestream room instantly erupted. The number of viewers kept climbing. Even netizens from other countries joined in. Humph, Dragon Nation must have stolen our Eagle General's technology. It doesn't look all that impressive. Our Nombang's KF-21 is the best in the universe. Yeah, our Enginee's Anka can shoot it down. Watching the comments from netizens around the world, Dragon Nation netizens were all laughing their heads off. Yeah. You guys are so awesome. We stole your technology from 100 years in the future. Meanwhile, on the command mission of the Dongshan aircraft carrier, Old Tang watched the live stream, full of worrying. Old Jin, is this really appropriate? Live streaming the Ghost Fighter will leak all its data. Jin Dong Hai shook his head. It's fine. Truth mixed with falsehood. Illusion mixed with reality. Even if they see the live stream data, they might not believe it. Besides, this operation is about showing our teeth. Showing off a bit of strength won't hurt. At that moment, the Ghost Fighter was accelerating through the air. Mach 1.6, Mach 2, Mach 3, Mach 4 in the live stream room. Everyone, through he Bing Bing's camera, saw the numbers climbing higher and higher. For a moment, they were all stunned. Holy crap, is this a rocket or a plane? It's not going to fly out of orbit, is it? At this speed, can a person even handle it? Dragon Nation people love to fake things. This data must be fake. Otherwise, they wouldn't dare broadcast it live. It's only Mach 4. Our Enginee Nation can do that too. This is my ... garbled. Jin Dong Hai's voice came through the radio. Lin Hui, the 20 support jets have already taken off. You must be careful. If you run into any problems, call for backup immediately. I nodded and acknowledged. Then I looked back at he Bing Bing in the rear seat. Let's go. The guests are already at our doorstep. Even if they're unwelcome guests, we should at least go say hello. He Bing Bing panicked at those words. Does that mean we're going to land on an aircraft carrier? According to common practice, during exercises, any fighter that intrudes into the area without permission can be shot down by all three nations with full force. Just as he Bing Bing was panicking inside, I spoke again. Reporter He announced to the livestream viewers that we have entered the three-nation joint military exercise zone. With that, I closed the data panel and switched to the radar screen because the data panel showed the fighter's position. If the Eagle General Commander was also watching the live stream, our position would be exposed. Seeing this, he Bing Bing had to take a deep breath and continue broadcasting. Dear viewers, the Ghost Fighter has now entered the three-nation military exercise zone. Next, we will take you on a friendly observation of the Eagle General's Ford-class aircraft carrier. The live stream room instantly exploded. Holy crap! Friendly observation, my ass live streaming a challenge to the three-nation coalition. Our country is so bold. Wait, the Eagle General side can see this live stream too. What kind of move is this? On the Ford-class aircraft carrier, Ross and Thomas were also huddled together watching the live stream. When he heard he Bing Bing say this, Thomas was completely stunned. What the hell? Dragon Nation actually wants to fly a fighter jet and go live streaming into the exercise zone. How dare the Dragon Nation do this? Thomas immediately ordered radar detection. But after checking, not a single radar could detect them. Thomas frowned deeply. Could this be a smokescreen from the Dragon Nation? Or maybe the Dragon Nation stealth tech has made a new breakthrough. Thomas stared at the empty radar screen and pondered for a moment. He ordered, have all the jets from Japan and South Korea launch a net-style search. If not now, when would we let them take the lead? Are we supposed to protect them instead? Soon, fighter jets took off one after another from the Ford carrier. The radar projection in the livestream lit up instantly, with a dense swarm of enemy targets. The viewers in the livestream were stunned. Damn, that must be hundreds of planes. This is more intense than a Hollywood blockbuster. Inside the command room of the Dongshan carrier, Jin Dong Hai looked grim. The radar screen was packed with targets, representing the three-nation coalition. They'd almost sent out their entire force. Jin Dong Hai felt a twinge of regret. He didn't know if that kid was telling the truth or not. Otherwise, losing such a genius would truly be a loss for the Dragon Nation. At that moment, the Ghost Fighter was flying at just 5 meters, skimming the sea at ultra-low altitude. Waves surged on the ocean surface, and every now and then a wave would rise up, almost splashing the cockpit. In the live stream, everyone shouted, "Bro, this is intense. Can you fly a little higher? I'm almost choking on water." He Bingbing had never experienced such a thrilling scene. She was scared out of her wits. "Comrade Li Hui, should we fly a bit higher? There are hundreds of planes up there looking for us. Flying high makes us easy to spot. But you're about to give me a heart attack. Don't worry, I'll take responsibility." He Bingbing's face turned red. She felt something was off about this guy. How could he joke at such a tense moment? Then the Ghost Fighter sped along, circling wide at Mach speed, successfully dodging all the searching jets, and arrived behind the Ford carrier. When it got within 200 nautical miles of the Ford, I cut off all onboard data and projected it on the live stream. The next steps must be kept secret. Not a hint of exposure. The live stream only showed he Bingbing's phone camera feed. The people watching the stream could feel the storm brewing. Dragon Nation netizens began praying for victory. I quickly activated the onboard Deceptor electronic warfare system and sent out a fake signal coordinate. The next second, an invisible electromagnetic wave shot toward the Ford carrier. On the radar screen in the Ford's command room, a blinking red dot suddenly appeared. Ross shouted excitedly, "General, General, we've caught the ghost signal." For a moment, everyone on the Ford cheered. Thomas slammed the table. "All anti-air missiles, prepare to fire." Boom, 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 from the Ford carrier. One Standard 3 missile after another streaked toward the Ghost Fighter. At the same time, an alarm blared on the Ghost Fighter. "Alert! Multiple missiles locked onto the decoy target." I smirked slightly and manipulated the Deceptor system, simulating the decoy target's escape. In the live stream, He Bingbing played along with live commentary. "Oh my god. 20 anti-air missiles are coming right at us. This is terrifying. Will I make it back alive?" On the Ford carrier, Thomas stared intently at the screen. The Ghost Fighter was fleeing fast, at an incredible speed, but the launched missiles all lost contact, and that glaring red dot still flickered on the screen. Thomas looked very displeased. He gritted his teeth and ordered the 3rd, 7th, and 91st formations to immediately pursue the ghost. They must shoot it down. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Hundreds more fighters throttled up, roaring out from the Ford. On the Ghost Fighter's central control screen, I watched the swarm of warplanes rapidly moving southeast. A slight smirk curled at the corner of my mouth. Opportunities here. With that, I skimmed the sea surface again, ultra-low, charging toward the Ford. Meanwhile, Thomas stared tensely at the radar screen. Suddenly, a shout came over the channel. "General, trouble. An unidentified fighter has breached the defense perimeter. Looks like the Ghost." At that moment, the Ghost Fighter was penetrating at ultra-low altitude, directly from the rear, breaking into the Ford's visual range. All the warships and fighters panicked. The fighters from Japan and South Korea had already been dispatched, and most of the Eagle General's fighters had just been diverted from the Ford carrier. Thomas immediately roared, "Engage! Free fire! Now!" At this range, anti-air missiles were useless. Dense barrage, -1 air guns and cannons began to prepare. At the same time, I activated the pulse electromagnetic wave jamming. All electronic information on the carrier was affected, and the carrier's fire control system went completely dead. The Eagle General was utterly panicked. Only the dozens of fighters circling above the carrier launched a frantic attack. Countless fiery snakes spewed forth, raining down like a storm. But the Ghost Fighter's Mach speed was no joke either. Like a swift petrel, it weaved through the hail of fireworks like bullets. At the same time, I pressed the afterburner boost again. With a loud boom, the engines entered detonation mode and shot forward, leaving a blur in the air. The pilots above the Ford carrier were stunned. Is this even a plane anymore? Inside the Ghost Fighter's cockpit, watching the shells rain down like a deluge, He Bingbing's voice trembled with tension. "Oh my god, our fighter has already broken Mach 5, but the Ford is in sight. We can start our friendly observation right away." As she finished speaking, the Ghost Fighter had already pierced through the storm of bullets and arrived above the Ford carrier. I turned to He Bingbing and said, "Quick, point the camera at the tail." He Bingbing quickly turned around to film the tail. A stream of yellow fuel poured down from the tail, splashing across the Ford's deck. Thomas saw this and his face flushed with rage. He glared and roared, "Fuck! Shoot it down! At any cost, shoot it down!" Instantly, the Eagle General fighters above opened fire with all their might. Countless shells rained down on the Ford carrier, and in seconds, a massive fire broke out. In the live stream room, everyone saw this, and they went absolutely crazy. "Holy crap! A flood has washed over the Dragon King's temple. They're fighting their own people. The Dragon Kingdom destroyed the Ford carrier without firing a single shot. I give this move a perfect score. Waking up in the middle of the night, sitting bolt upright. The great powers turned out to be us. Now that's a true warrior. Yet after the excitement, everyone couldn't help but worrying. Ahead were hundreds of fighters from the Eagle General, Japan, and South Korea. The Ghost Fighter might not escape this time. However, just as everyone was sweating bullets, the Ghost Fighter executed an aerial drift, turned back behind the Ford carrier, and instantly accelerated to Mach 5. It blasted away at full speed, covering 30 nautical miles in under a minute, leaving over 100 fighters far behind. It successfully rendezvoused with the J-20 fighter group sent to meet it. Inside the Dongshan carrier's command room, Jin Donghai finally breathed a sigh of relief. This sword-showing operation, though risky, had turned out 100 times better than they'd expected. Especially that last move. It was incredibly satisfying. He hadn't felt this exhilarated in a long time. Bingbing was still shaken, but she dutifully continued. The live stream, dear viewers, our friendly observation of the Ford has officially concluded. This training exercise was completed successfully. Yangbo glanced at the information on the mid-air screen. After all that holding back, fuel is nearly gone. If we don't turn back, we'll have to ditch in the sea. Meanwhile, on the Ford, Thomas was furious. As the captain of a British carrier, he'd sailed the seas for decades. When had he ever suffered such humiliation? Shoot him down. General, the Ghost is too fast. It's about to fly out of the exercise zone. A few minutes later, on the blue sea, a small black dot slowly came into view. Yangbo saw the Dongshan carrier for the first time. Its massive body was like a steel beast, cutting through waves as it sailed across the sea. He circled low over the Dongshan twice. The crew on the deck were cheering and waving at Yangbo. He immediately opened communications. Dongshan, this is Ghost, Yangbo. You finally made it back, you rascal. Qin Beihai's voice was tense and excited. He'd been watching the whole live stream. The Ghost Fighter challenging the combined air and sea forces of 3 nations, and returning without a scratch, was beyond anything he'd imagined. Uncle Qin, I need to return to base immediately. I won't land on the Dongshan. According to the plan, the Ghost was supposed to take off and land on the Dongshan to show off its capabilities. But that's no longer necessary. Good, the chief is also watching you. I'll send 2 fighters to escort you. After all, the Dongshan is still facing off with the 3-nation coalition. Anything could happen at any moment. The Ghost Fighter and Yangbo are now under Panda-level protection. We can't leave you in this trouble spot. Half an hour later, escorted by 2 G-15s, the Ghost Fighter slowly landed at Binhai Base, including Old Che. A large crowd was already waiting by the runway. As soon as he got off the plane, Yangbo saw an old man with 3 stars on his shoulder, standing side by side with Old Che. Yangbo quickly walked over. The hero who took on the 3-nation coalition is back. The old man stepped forward and shook Yangbo's hand. The crowd immediately burst into cheers. Old Che introduced him. This is Vice Chairman Liu of the Military Commission. He came specially to welcome you back. Yangbo's heart skipped a beat. This was true high command. A national leader-level figure. Hello, Vice Chairman Liu. I hope my actions didn't cause trouble for the government. Vice Chairman Liu laughed heartily. Ha ha, trouble like this, bring it on, I've got your back. Everyone laughed. Vice Chairman Liu also shook hands briefly with Shen Mingxing. Reporter Shen, you're a heroine too. I was just doing my job as a journalist. Shen Mingxing was thrilled. As a reporter, she'd seen many big events, but being praised as a heroine by Vice Chairman Liu was definitely the highlight of her life. Old Che was beaming like a flower. This sword-unsheathed operation was risky, but the results were 100 times better than he'd expected. You've turned the whole Yellow Sea, no, the whole of East Asia, upside down. Yangbo smiled. He hadn't thought that far. He just couldn't swallow that insult. He wanted to teach them a lesson. Well said. This time, the British have lost face completely. Years of frustration have finally been vented. The British have been throwing their weight around near our country for a long time. Everyone's pent-up anger is easy to imagine. Today, we finally got to hold our heads high. Yangbo smiled wryly. That slap was pretty hard. Will the British lash out like cornered dogs? Vice Chairman Liu waved his hand. No, you handled the situation with good restraint. Old Che agreed. That's right. Not much damage done, but maximum humiliation. Afterwards, Yangbo and the key people present held an internal meeting. Yangbo and Shen Mingxing reported to Vice Chairman Liu some details of the operation. Everyone listened, both excited and thrilled. Through the details, you can more intuitively experience the power of the Ghost Fighter. Zia finally has a model that can crush the Sonic Disruptor. This greatly boosted everyone's confidence. Old Chess still believes the Ghost Fighter's performance is ahead. Many technologies can be transferred, such as radar stealth, laser weapons, and electronic warfare systems, which other platforms can also adopt. This will greatly raise Zia's military-industrial tech level. The vice chairman immediately decided to form a technical team, responsible for analyzing the Ghost Fighter's related technologies. After finishing the Ghost Fighter, Yongbo brought up the Megalodon. The Megalodons have all been transported to the Binhai base, ready to start the operation at any time. Vice Chairman Liu Qinbeihai told me, "Those monkeys in the Blue Sea need a lesson. Go ahead and do it. I'll take the heat if anything happens." Shen Mingxing heard this, and immediately smelled a big story. She hurriedly said, "I want to go too." Vice Chairman Liu smiled. The Blue Sea is a covert operation, not suitable for public disclosure. Reporters shouldn't go. Shen Mingxing had no choice but to give up, only glaring fiercely at Yongbo. Yongbo was speechless. "What are you glaring at me for?" Finally, Old Chess specifically reminded Yongbo, "You become a hot topic now. Keep your identity secret. Otherwise it'll cause you trouble." "Got it, Old Che. I have no interest in being an internet celebrity." Shen Mingxing is screwed then. "Won't all the attention fall on me?" Yongbo chuckled. "You reporters are public figures anyway. The more popular, the better. But I don't want a crowd staring at me every time I step out. Don't be so stubborn. Many people crave attention and traffic but don't have it." After the meeting ended, Shen Mingxing returned to the military weapons magazine, while Yongbo stayed at Binhai base, waiting for the Megalodon operation to begin. At night, there wasn't much entertainment at the base. Yongbo could only scroll through his phone out of boredom. He took one look and was shocked. Wow, the whole internet is dominated by the Ghost Fighter. Hulung news broke out. Ghost Fighter takes on a three-nation coalition alone. World shaking, trending. Penguin News, three nations issue a joint statement. Strongly protest Zia's hegemonic actions, trending. Baidu Hot Search, solo against an aircraft carrier battle group. Ghost Fighter becomes legendary in one battle, trending. Kuaishou Hot Search, teasing the Ford. Who is the mysterious pilot, trending. Phoenix International, British F-35, slides off the deck into the sea due to deck oil. Starlight Entertainment, inside the military goddess Shen Mingxing. The Ghost Fighter emerges, and has already sent military fans into a frenzy. And the feat of live streaming the challenge against a three-nation coalition sparked a nuclear-level explosion of hype. Military role, Mach 5 hypersonic speed, on-board laser weapons, super stealth performance, had military fans debating online with spitflying. Various data analyses and performance analyses were everywhere. Military experts also came out to comment. And the highlights of flying over Mount Hana, Dog-Tooth Fox Mountain, and teasing the Ford went viral on major video platforms, even sparking a craze on foreign gaming platforms. But soon, citing the spread of false information, they were all taken down. Besides the Ghost Fighter, the identity of the mysterious pilot also became a hot topic, inviting the goddess Shen Mingxing on board, single-handedly challenging hundreds of fighter jets, dozens of ships, repeatedly breaching the airspace of the Southern Pound and Japan, teasing the British carrier. This move is even more daring than a Hollywood blockbuster hero. Who on earth is this? Everyone speculated. Many female netizens even sent love messages from afar. But Yongbo wore his helmet the whole time, and the authorities also kept the screen recordings under wraps, so the identity of the mysterious pilot remains a mystery. As a result, all the attention shifted to the female lead, Shen Mingxing. Originally, Shen Mingxing's fame was mainly limited to the military fan circle, but this livestream exploded beyond all measure. Plus Shen Mingxing's stunning good looks. The buzz went viral instantly. She went from military dance goddess to national sweetheart. Her Weibo followers skyrocketed by 10 million overnight. The entertainment industry even started discussing her debut. Because of this, Shen Mingxing called him in the middle of the night. "Hey, Yongbo," sound asleep, didn't even open his eyes. He fumbled for the phone and answered. "Yongbo, this is all your fault." "What's wrong, big reporter?" Yongbo replied grudgingly. "You're sleeping like a baby. I'm going crazy." "What's going on?" "My phone hasn't stopped ringing. TV stations, magazines, websites, even people wanting me to shoot ads and movies are calling. You're a top influencer now. You should thank me, right?" Yongbo couldn't help laughing. "Wide awake now. You're laughing. If you make money from ads and movies, shouldn't you give me a cut?" "Cut your head off. I'm a reporter. I'm not filming anything. Reporters can't film. Making money isn't shameful. You go film then. Anyway, I'm not doing it. Suit yourself. I'm going to sleep. I can't sleep. Want me to warm up your bed? Pervert." The next morning, Yongbo got up and grabbed his phone. He saw Qinbing had sent him a WeChat contact card with a message. "Add her. She's my cousin. A gorgeous woman. What's this about? Setting you up. Looks like I'm having a lucky streak with women. He just added her as a friend, when she immediately called him on voice. Hello. Hi, I'm Joe Shuyan, Chinbin's cousin. Hello. I'm coming to the base soon to talk about the shark thing. Hun Yongbo was caught off guard. Chinbei, hi, I let him down. He sent me here. Oh, okay. Yongbo suddenly understood. Chinbei Hai had said he'd send someone to assist with Operation Megalodon, but Yongbo assumed it would be Navy personnel. He didn't expect a big cousin to show up. It's not convenient over the phone. We'll talk in person when we meet. 10 minutes later, a luxury 4-ring car drove straight into the base. Joe Shuyan stepped out of the car. Long legs, black stockings, an S-curve figure. Her pencil skirt and high heels clicked on the ground, tap tap, full of rhythm. That mature, confident vibe left Yongbo a bit dazed. You're Yongbo, right? Joe Shuyan extended her hand proactively. Hello, Miss Joe. Yongbo gave a light handshake. Joe Shuyan smiled warmly. No need to be so formal. You and Chinbin are classmates. Just call me Sister Shuyan. I'm here on behalf of the Joe Group to coordinate with your operation. The military can't be directly involved in Operation Megalodon, so the Joe Group will acquire the equipment. The operation will be under the guise of a commercial survey. Yongbo nodded. The situation in the South China Sea is complicated. Due to international image concerns, we can't easily use heavy-handed measures. If the military got involved and Operation Megalodon were exposed, we'd be diplomatically cornered. The Joe Group is a major domestic commercial conglomerate. Chinbing's mother is also a member of the Joe family. With that connection, the relevant authorities entrusted this classified mission to the Joe Group. Joe Shuyan then added, let's settle the related costs. First, the material costs for the Ghost Fighter. Second, the Megalodon. Yongbo said, the material costs for the Ghost Fighter are already settled. According to estimates, Ghost Fighter materials would cost over 100 million. You only charge 10 million. Others would indeed need over 100 million. But I only need 10 million. Yongbo's eyes were clear. His tone was calm. Although Yongbo wants to make money, he can't do it against his conscience. The material costs are whatever they are. Joe Shuyan was slightly surprised. This was several hundred million. Money that ordinary people couldn't earn in several lifetimes. Yongbo, just over 20 years old, still at the age for college, actually refused without hesitation. Joe Shuyan had seen countless people in business, and even she couldn't help but show an approving look. All right, so, what about the Megalodon sharks? Name your price. The cost and selling price of 20 million per Megalodon shark had already been carefully calculated by Yongbo, including the concentrated oil provided by the military. Each Megalodon shark costs 5 million. If someone else made them, the cost would be double. All things considered, 20 million each is absolutely a fair price. Good, let's sign the contract. Yongbo was straightforward, and Joe Shuyan wasn't stingy either. She made the decision on the spot. She immediately took out a contract. The terms are all set by you. Just fill in the price, and it's done. Yongbo couldn't be bothered to read it carefully. He gave it a quick glance and signed it directly. Just like that, 30 Megalodon sharks. A 600 million deal. The two signed and stamped the contract in under a minute. Then Yongbo received a text message. Your account has received a transfer from the Joe Group. 600 million. The efficiency is really something. Yongbo blinked. 600 million. Now he really was a rich man. But somehow, it didn't feel like much. With the Zenith star system, money had just become a number to Yongbo. The meaning of life was no longer about chasing money, but about using technology to change the world. After putting the contract away, Yongbo said, let's go check out the Megalodon sharks. Okay. The two then went to a large indoor boathouse. The indoor boathouse was chosen for secrecy, to prevent the Megalodon sharks from being spotted by the Eagle Nation satellites. As soon as they entered, 30 Megalodon sharks were lined up on steel pool platforms. Their gleaming white teeth, their massive bodies, their intimidating presence. Joe Shuyan let out a scream of fright and jumped straight onto Yongbo. This is terrifying. Yongbo chuckled. They look just like the real thing. Too scary. Joe Shuyan complained. Haha, otherwise, how could it be called a replica? Yongbo opened another briefcase, revealing an LCD screen inside, along with a keyboard and buttons. This is a specially made control console for the Megalodon sharks. After starting it up, the shark's massive mouth opened and closed, its body wriggling slightly, as if it had come to life. Can these sharks really bite through an iron ship? Joe Shuyan asked him like a curious child. Yongbo smiled. He picked up a few steel pipes from the ground, stacked them together, and stuffed them into a Megalodon shark's mouth. The shark's steel teeth clamped down with a crunch. Under 200 tons of bite force. The steel pipes were as brittle as lollipops. bitten clean in two. Zhou Shuyan watched, her jaw dropping. This is even more impressive than in the Jason Statham movies. Of course, these are meant to chew through warships. If the teeth weren't good, how could they do the job? Alright, let's get moving. The megalodon shark's body swayed, and they leapt down from the platform, splashing into the boathouse waterway, sending up a huge spray of water. Once in the water, the megalodon sharks seemed to come alive, moving swiftly, their presence fierce, thrashing around in the boathouse. Yongbo set the destination through the control console, the South China Sea, and also set it to autonomous patrol mode. The 30 megalodon sharks followed the waterway, swimming silently out into the ocean, disappearing into the endless blue. Watching all the megalodon sharks enter the water, Yongbo dialed Qin Beihai's number. Uncle Qin, the megalodon sharks are in the water. Let's start the operation. But I'm still stuck dealing with the Heppinghao, so I can't leave. Shu Yan will coordinate with you. Just the two of us, Yang. Bo meant that. He and Zhou Shuyan, a man and a woman alone, heading to the South China Sea. Doesn't seem quite appropriate? Qin Beihai, that clueless straight guy, totally missed it, and said there's a Typo 54 left over there in the South China Sea. If anything happens, I'll have them assist covertly. Yang Bo was speechless. Is this about the Typo 54? Qin Beihai didn't catch Yang Bo's hint. But how could Zhou Shuyan not get it? Her big, pretty eyes fixed on Yang Bo. Yang Bo, you're a grown man. Why are you being so shy? Just say what's on your mind. Yang Bo laughed. Sister Shuyan, look at me. I'm young and full of fire. And your long legs in those black stockings ... I'm afraid I won't be able to focus on work. Zhou Shuyan glared at him. You little brat. You're not having any improper thoughts, are you? Don't get me wrong, I'm not. Really not. You're not? Why aren't you? Am I not attractive? No, that's not it. Then tell me, should I be or shouldn't I? How should I know? With that, Zhou Shuyan kicked off her high heels and pulled off the black stockings from her legs, revealing a pair of smooth, long legs. Is this less distracting now? Without the stockings, the legs are just this long. Helpless, Yang Bo was speechless again. This white is just blinding. Might as well have kept them on. Good thing I didn't mention the pencil skirt earlier, because thinking about it, Yang Bo almost had a nosebleed. Sister Shuyan, I was just joking. Let's talk about going to the South China Sea, okay? Yang Bo quickly changed the subject. I've got everything arranged. The private jet is waiting for us outside. Private jet? Yang Bo was stunned. This is some rich guy lifestyle. Guess I haven't gotten used to it yet. A moment later, Yang Bo carried his luggage and brought the suitcase control console to the runway. A luxury business jet was already parked on the runway. Come on up, at the cabin door. Zhou Shuyan waved. Aside from the Ghost Fighter, Yang Bo had never been on any other plane. Boarding it, he couldn't help but gasp. Leather sofa seats, a bedroom, a kitchen, a bathroom, everything you could need. The decor was extremely luxurious. Poverty really does limit your imagination. For a moment, Yang Bo got the idea of building one himself, not out of greed for luxury, but purely because it seemed fun. For the Zenith system, building a private jet is less than a piece of cake. On the plane, the two had lunch, and after a 3-hour flight, they landed at Sonya Phoenix Airport. Then they took a car to a dock and boarded a yacht. Wow, this is even more luxurious than the plane. Not only does it have a bedroom and a kitchen, but also a massage jacuzzi and a KTV room. The rich guy's life is so unpretentiously simple. Work is more enjoyable than a vacation. This is really an eye-opener. As the engine roared, Zhou Shuyan personally steered the yacht away from the dock. Heading south, the yacht had 2 bedrooms. Yang Bo and Zhou Shuyan each took one. The main living room had various computer equipment set up in advance. After Yang Bo connected the suitcase and control console to the ship's computer, the whole yacht became a mobile command center. On the big central screen, a small blue dot representing the skirt blinked, moving across the nautical chart. The sawtooth shark speed reached 100 knots, equivalent to the speed of a high-speed train, even faster than the fastest torpedo in the ocean. By now, it has already traveled over 1,600 kilometers in the sea, expected to reach the South China Sea area by nighttime. Zhou Shuyan set the yacht to autopilot mode, and also came from the helm to the living room, stared at the screen for a while, asked, I know the little blue dot is the sawtooth shark. What are those red glowing dots? They seem to be connected in a line. Yang Bo said, those are underwater electronic devices, mostly sonar units forming a line. That's the so-called first island chain. The sawtooth shark is equipped with pulse shortwave radar, capable of underwater detection. Not only can it precisely map the underwater terrain along the way, it also sweeps through the enemy's sonar and detects them clearly. Although Zhou Shuyan didn't know much about military matters, She understood in an instant. These sonar arrays are monitoring our country. That's right. The first island chain isn't just a geographical concept. The enemy has deployed a large number of surveillance devices along it to monitor our warships and submarines. Will they discover our sawtooth shark? No, the sawtooth shark is a bionic machine. Its noise is only 30 decibels, far below the ocean's background noise. Let me put it this way. If you don't open up the sawtooth shark to look inside, in the sea, it's no different from a real shark. Zhou Shuyan blinked. Hey, how did that red dot just disappear? Looks like it got swallowed by the sawtooth shark. On the screen, the blue dot moved along the chain. When it encountered a red dot, it rolled right over it, and the red dot vanished instantly, as if it had been eaten. Yongbo smiled. That's right. Took a bite. Just a casual snack. You're so naughty. Zhou Shuyan couldn't help but laugh. She had seen the sawtooth shark's jaws before. After this sweep, the enemy's sonar is going to be in trouble. Yongbo said, how is that naughty? All that stuff was set up by the enemy to target us. You dream about getting rid of it all the time. Then I'll have to tell my uncle to charge extra for the additional service. Zhou Shuyan laughed. Hey, this service is free of charge. On the screen, the blue dot moved like a snake in a game, following the red dots along the chain. At the current speed, it would reach the South China Sea around 3 a.m. The sawtooth shark's intelligence system navigated autonomously. No need for constant tracking. So the two washed up and went to their rooms to rest. When the alarm went off at 3 a.m., they got up and came back to the living room. By then, the sawtooth shark swarm had already followed the yacht to the South China Sea. On the big screen's chart, a dense cluster of small red dots was shocking to see. Are all these the enemy's sonar? So many. The South China Sea's depth is perfect for submarine operations. It's a key surveillance area for the enemy. They've colluded with the Philippine forces, operating in the South China Sea for years, deploying a large-scale underwater sonar array. Then let's just clear them all out. Of course, why leave them for the new year? Originally, cleaning up the sonar was just a side task. Yongbo hadn't paid it much attention. But the scale of the enemy's deployment in the South China Sea far exceeded my imagination. So I have to clean it up. I can't be working out front while you're eavesdropping from behind. Besides, although the sawtooth shark itself is quiet, once it starts a mission, it will definitely generate noise. If we don't clear these sonar, there's a risk of exposure. Then the two divided the work. 30 sawtooth sharks split into two groups, each controlling one group. Like playing a game, they began clearing the red dots on the screen. Beneath the surface of the South China Sea, pitch black and deep, the sawtooth sharks swam swiftly like assassins. When they hit a sonar, it was like eating peanuts. One bite each, crunching crisp. In the enemy's Subic Bay surveillance base, on the sonar monitoring screen, a line suddenly flickered. Then it jumped again. The sentry Sam on duty was slightly startled. What's going on? That jump was at least 150 decibels, and it was very brief. Clearly not a submarine. Could the Chinese be fishing with explosives? But who does that in the middle of the night? At the same time, Sam noticed that in the sonar array, several nodes suddenly lost signal. Could the Chinese be up to something? Sam realized something was happening, and immediately grabbed the phone. Day 1, in a conference room at the Pentagon. A video conference was underway. Chief of Staff General Mary looked grim. On the big screen before her were Captain Thomas of the Ford, Commander Nadro of the Yokosuka base, and Commander Bradley of the Bikini Atoll base, all wearing serious expressions. They all reported the same thing. Last night, the underwater surveillance network along the first island chain lost all signal overnight. From Japan to Taiwan to the South China Sea, thousands of various sonar sensors mysteriously stopped responding. This massive underwater surveillance system had cost the US decades of effort. Relying on this system, the movements of Chinese submarines within the first island chain were almost an open book to the US, but it was all destroyed overnight. The situation was completely beyond everyone's understanding. Most of these devices were passive sonar, which don't actively emit signals. Under the complex terrain of the seabed, just locating these devices would be incredibly difficult. Even if the US tried to remove them itself, it couldn't be done that fast. Chief of Staff Mary had been racking her brain these past few days. The Ghost Fighter had just turned the joint military exercise of 3 nations into chaos. Now this unbelievable thing had happened. Who the hell did it? Was it China? Thomas pursed his lips. Who else but China? Any evidence? If it's confirmed to be China, then this is an act that could trigger a war between the two countries. Thomas hesitated. Not at the moment. Bradley hesitated for a moment, then said, could it be sharks? Nadro laughed out loud. Are you kidding me? I know it sounds crazy, but you should see this. With that, Bradley projected a video onto the screen. The footage was very blurry and slightly shaky. Suddenly, a ferocious-looking shark appeared in front of the lens, opened its jaws, and bit down. Then the camera flickered, and the screen went completely black. The video ended there. The whole thing lasted less than 10 seconds. Everyone exchanged bewildered looks. What does that prove? Bradley explained. This is an experimental underwater infrared laser imaging device. It captured this footage in the South China Sea last night. Nedro immediately shook his head. Bradley, come on. We lost thousands of sonar devices last night. Did all the sharks in the ocean get together and decide to buy our sonar? Bradley shrugged helplessly. But it's the only evidence we have right now. Thomas said, there's another possibility. This could be some kind of machine. A shark controlled by the Chinese. Bradley couldn't deny that possibility. But after expert analysis,